when did you get an idea? What was the first time you thought maybe this is something that can be turned into a jungle keeper?
Yeah. Well, first I spent years, and I tell this now because a lot of people message me and they go, how do I get your job? I want to do what you do. And I'm like, look, first of all, you never want to replicate somebody else's path. And so you want to blaze your own path and do it your way. But first, what you have to do is find a master to study under. You have to find someone doing the work that you want to do at the highest level, the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
And so I had JJ, who was a tracker and a scientist and this incredible jungle man. And so I spent 5, maybe even 10, I would say about 7 years just studying from him. And so he would take me on adventures, basically these expeditions. We would go into parts of the Amazon that no one's allowed. And his family is allowed because they're indigenous. And so they go on ceremonial hunting trips deep into the jungle. And we'd go for 10 days in an open canoe just up the. And so when it rains, you're freezing cold. When the sun is out, your skin burns. And I'm talking about 8 hours of sunburn. And then the following day, it's freezing cold all day because rain, sun. You have no protection from the elements. And we just take our clothes off. It's actually easier to be naked in the jungle in those times because if you get your clothing wet, then you have nothing dry at night. So we'd hunt for our food and fish for our food and learn the forest. And they said, take your shoes off if you're going to hunt with us. Your shoes are too loud. And so I learned to walk barefoot in the Amazon. And you just study and you learn, why do local people turn into loggers and gold miners, and how do the local people relate to their forest? And so 7 years of study like that. And then, at that point, then I started to do a little bit of telling people, okay, I've had these amazing adventures. I've seen anacondas. I've seen these amazing ecosystems like the floating forest. And I learned enough about the jungle that people started asking me about the jungle. And then I started saying, well, I know what we need to do to protect this. And I said, if we just had the funding, we could do this. And so you have the logistical know-how.
Yeah.
And then I had the plan, but it took all those years. And I had to have all of that base knowledge. It's like doing your PhD in the wild. And then I started going, okay, if we were called the jungle keepers, we could be the ones protecting the jungle. And at first it was just an idea. And then I drew the logo. And then I started going, and if you can speak it, you can make it happen. If you can just, as you start saying it out loud, you go, I'm going to run a marathon. You start telling everyone, Mom, I'm going to run a marathon. My friends, I'm going to run a marathon. Start telling them, and then you go start running. And it's like, then they expect you to run a marathon.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to protect the Amazon. And